Hello guys, welcome. In this video we are going to show you how to set up Next.js Font like a pro. Okay, Next.js Font was introduced in Next.js 13 and permits you to efficiently optimize your font, and it does that by pulling your font from Google server or whatever server and storing it into your app, hence improving the overall performance and privacy of your app since you don't always have to do external requests to pull the font. So here's what we are going to go through. First, we are going to create a Next.js project, and finally we are going to set up the Next.js font. Let's dive straight in. Okay, as you can see, I'm currently on the Next.js 13 documentation and I'm going to grab the command to set up a new project. Okay, I've gone ahead and opened a new folder with VS Code, and now I'm just going to open a new terminal. Okay, I'm going to paste the command to create a new Next.js project. So this command actually uses npm, so I'm going to edit it since I'm currently using pnpm. I'm going to explain why we are using pnpm later on. Okay, first you type in your app name. Next, you select the options you wish to use. Let's go with TypeScript, Sling yes, Tailwind no. Alright, while that is installing, let's go ahead and tell you why we are using pnpm. Pnpm permits you to efficiently manage your npm packages, and it does that by installing your packages only once and refreshing them in each project, hence reducing the storage required for each project, and hence overall you just save more space and save more time when installing packages. Okay, our project has been successfully set up. Let's go ahead and cd into the directory. Okay, now let's just start the development server and make sure everything is working right. As you can see, our app opens up successfully, and that shows that we have successfully set up a Next.js 13 project. Alright, let's see what we have. We have the app directory. Okay. Now we are going to create a folder called lib where we are going to set up the font. Okay, so lib. Now inside the lib folder, we are going to create a file called font.ts, and here we are going to actually import the font and set the font. So just making sure we have Next.js 13 installed. Okay, yeah. Okay, so as you can see, we have imported the font from Next.js directly, and that's why we checked if we had Next.js installed. So we have imported Poppins, Montserrat, and Mary Waiter, and what is important to note is the variable name. As you can see, we have font 1, we have font 2, and we have font 3. Okay, now let's just take a look at the default CSS that came along with Next.js, this project setup. Okay, well, nothing complex, just basic CSS. So now what we are going to do is we are going to import the fonts we just set up and actually make sure that our app can have access to all of it. So we are going to get rid of this default way of using the font from the class name, and then now we are going to import the fonts we set up. So we have the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary fonts. Okay, now we are going to actually update the class name, and then now set up the primary font variable and the secondary font variable plus the tertiary font variable. So as you can see, this approach is going to avoid us from importing Next.js font in probably like each of the files where we need it. For example, as you saw, we had Intel. We don't need to import that each time we need it, but now we can just like set the variable on the overall app, and what is left now is just to reference the font. If we go to page.tsx, where should we update? Okay, let's just go ahead and update the anchor description font family. So now we are going to use variable, and then we are going to type now the variable name we defined while setting up our font. So okay, that's changed, but the change is not that obvious. Let's try to do something that is going to be a little bit obvious, like change the font of something obvious. Okay, let's change that. It is the paragraph. Okay, so as you can see, the font has changed, but it's not very obvious. Let's go ahead and do something that can be a little bit more obvious. Okay, as you can see now, you can clearly see how the font has changed. Let's just go ahead and put it on the header, the H2 header. Voila, you can see that the font has clearly changed. So this permits you to reference like the font in whatever style you have, and avoid you from importing the font and probably like passing them as class names. Let's just go ahead and copy that again. Okay, let's just inspect and see what's happening here. So if you come here and let's try to grab that font. Yeah, okay, we have fonts. Yeah, so if you click on that, you're going to see all of the fonts variable which you set up. So these fonts are being automatically added to your whole app, hence you can reference them anywhere and use the fonts. Okay, let's just go ahead and set another font for the whole body. So yeah, okay, just take a look. All of the fonts have been updated, and yeah, that's the best way to set up your Next.js font in the Next.js project.